True Christianity will seek to help the youngest, oldest, and weakest of society. New Hope, pause. If you checked out, check in. Is there somebody in your life right now, a face or a name that God is prompting you right now, that your Christianity would look so beautiful if it was wrapped in flesh and you were able to step out and relieve the burden of the youngest, the oldest, or the weakest of somebody in your community? Love God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength, and love your neighbor. Now let's take a look at this as we consider what James is saying. Next slide is help the weak. Help the weak. What he's saying about to visit orphans and widows in the midst of their affliction is a beautiful statement. Of course, this is the verse that gets so much attention in the scripture. This is what started the way home in Uganda. This is what has started ministries across the nation as people have poured their hearts into ministering to orphans and widows. What is it that James is calling people to do? Well, specifically, look at the word. It says to visit. To visit. It certainly means to care for. It means to relieve their burdens. It means to lift the burden off of one's shoulder. Yes, we visit them in person, but it's more than just visiting them. It's recognizing a need. It is seeing a need of somebody who is in a desperate condition, who feels, get this, who feels that they are without hope and have no other option. And specifically what James is getting to is the people that we should relieve their burdens are two groups. Orphans, literally fatherless, but more generally, it means bereaved. It means people that are suffering loss, and not just orphans, but also the husbandless, the widows. And yes, by translation, it could simply mean the single moms. What James is saying is that there ought to be something within us, because motivated by the gospel of Jesus, that goes out of our way, that has a posture of helping and caring for those who are in fact wounded, those who are lost, those who are burdened, those who are suffering on the day-to-day because of some significant loss. God's heart is for them. All through the scripture, what we see is that God's heart is for the youngest, God's heart is for the oldest, God's heart is for the weakest, and so we are no more like the Lord than when we come along and we show the character of God to the youngest, to the oldest, to the weakest, and we display our Christianity. We wrap flesh upon our Christianity to show our care for them. Here's a thought as we consider this. True Christianity will seek to help the youngest, oldest, and weakest of society. New Hope, pause. If you checked out, check in. Is there somebody in your life right now, a face or a name that God is prompting you right now, that your Christianity would look so beautiful if it was wrapped in flesh and you were able to step out and relieve the burden of the youngest, the oldest, or the weakest of somebody in your community? I was reading quotes this week, and one of the ones that I love I came across was actually the vice president of 1976 in America. He was calling the nation to give practical care of action towards those in the community. Listen, regardless of political party, I love this. This is a good quote. As he called people to give attention to those in the dawn of life, our children, those in the shadows of life, our needy, sick, and handicapped, and those in the twilight of life, our elderly. I love that grid, those in the dawn, those in the shadows, those in the twilight. This, I believe, is the heartbeat of James. Not just, here it is, not just for human betterment, but for gospel advancement. That we are living out our Christian faith in the context of life. We are looking for those in the twilight, in the dawn, in the shadows. We are looking to display our love of Jesus in the midst of it, in the context of our world, so that people see the beauty of the glory of the gospel of the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. What does Christian faith look like? Well, it looks like helping the weak, because that is God's heart. God's heart is helping the weak. God's heart, by the way, is to help you. When we were broken, when we were wounded, when we were separated from him, he sent his son as a sacrifice of atonement on our behalf. He reached us when we were broken. He reached us when we were outsiders. He reached us when we had no options and we had nothing in our capacity to save ourselves. He reaches us. But it's not just to help the weak. It's to avoid the wrong. Notice that there is an and here. Take a look with me. Religion that is pure and undefiled before God the Father is this: to visit orphans and widows in their affliction. Next word. And. New Hope, as important as orphans and widows are, do not miss the last half of the verse. It would lead to an imbalanced life. Yes, love your neighbor. Love the weakest, love the poor, love the youngest, love the oldest. Yes. But there's also something else, and here it is. And to keep oneself unstained from the world. To keep, here it is. It means to guard, to keep an eye on. It suggests a vigilance. Like your grandkids are at the beach and they're playing in the water and they're toddlers like you saw. There's a vigilance while you're keeping an eye on. You're careful. You're looking out for them. Why? Because you don't want any danger to come to them from the world. It's the very same context. He's saying to guard yourself, to keep yourself, to be vigilant and watching over your heart. And what is it we're watching for? Look at it. You're guarding yourself, you're vigilant so that your own heart and your life remains unstained. That is, without blemish, without any accusation. There's no attachment from the world that is going to cling to you. And so there's this vigilance that we have that keeps ourselves unstained and unblemished from the world. That is so consistent in Scripture. There's a couple at New Hope, and I absolutely love their ministry. They have given their lives to minister to people whose lives have been entangled by the snare of pornography. Their podcast is called Liberator Podcast. They have about 100 episodes now, and they're ministering to people that are caught up in this addiction. And what I love about their ministry, and I have listened to every single podcast, and what a joy it is to hear them speak out this truth. And what are they doing? They're trying to reach into those areas of people's lives, people that are trapped, people that are blemished, people that are stuck in this either a sinful disposition or a devilish distraction, and they're trying to reach in to show them a new and a better way, and that is the way of Jesus Christ, who sets captives free. He is the liberator. Amen. I love what one of my friends says, that the devil doesn't have to defeat you, he just has to distract you. And in the midst of life, as we go through this world, we have to recognize that fundamentally, boiled down, the Christian doctrine comes to these two principles. Love God, love others, Jesus would say. James would say, keep yourself unstained from the world. That is, love God and visit orphans and widows in the midst of their affliction. Love others, ministering to the youngest, the oldest, the weakest of society. New Hope, who around you in your community? Who in your sphere of influence needs the hand of Jesus Christ incarnated by your very presence? Find a need, meet a need. Here's the action step. Find a need, meet a need, whether overseas or across the street. Shoulder the burden of people in need. If I have one prayer for today's sermon, it is simply this, that verse 26 and 27 of James would mobilize radical generosity among New Hope people. Not just resources, I'm talking time. That as you look around in your neighborhoods, in your workplaces, and in your communities, that we simply look through the eyes of Christ and we find a need and we meet it. We look for the youngest, the oldest, the weakest, and we seek to incarnate the Christian message by living out and displaying the love of Jesus for the people that we're around. And New Hope, no matter your financial capacity, there are needs all around us.